Jaya Rama Rama Kunjavi Hari Gopi Janna Ballabha Giridhari Gopi Janna Ballabha Giridhari Jasodanandana Jnānāñjana Jasodanandana Jnānāñjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Rama Rama Kunjavihari Jaya Rama Rama Kunjavihari Gopi Janna Ballabha Giridhari Gopi Janna Ballabha Giridhari Jasodanandana Jnānāñjana Jasodanandana Jnānāñjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Rama Rama Kunjavihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnu-pad Paramahamsa Parivajakacarya Asta Tarazadashi Shima. His Divine Grace Śrī Bhakti-vedanta Tridandi Gosvāmī Maharaj Prabhupāda ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Śrīla Prabhupāda ki Jai. Patita Pavana Savior the Fallen Souls Śrīla Prabhupāda ki Jai. Śrīla Prabhupāda flooding the whole material world with a tidal wave of super ecstatic Krishna Prema ki Jai. Jayam Vishnu-pad Paramahamsa Parivajakacarya Ashtatarajadushi Shima. His Divine Grace Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Maharaj Prabhupāda ki Jai. Anantakori Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem Sakaho Shri Kṛṣṇa-Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha-kṛṣṇa Gopi Gopinath Shyamakon Radhakon Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mayi Ki Jai, Jamuna Mayi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Tusi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaura Premananda Haribol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to His Divine Grace. Śrīla Prabhupāda Namaḥ Vishnu-padaya. Krishna-prestaya bhū-tale. Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtitadesha Taline. So I've been very much blessed with the opportunity. I was asked to speak on the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. This is quite a long text. It's a whole, actually, many pages. So I'll just read and comment our way through. I don't know about an hour is enough time. This is more like a 3-hour. The introduction is many pages. So, wow, just to read it alone without speaking would probably take more than an hour. But anyway, it's humongous, beauty introduction. Many pages. So I'll do whatever I can do, and that's all I can do. We can't finish the whole. It's like a whole chapter. Humongous thing. So we'll try our best, work our way through, and comment along the way. And beg for Prabhupada's mercy, we become illuminated with transcendental knowledge, that His transcendental words may pierce into the innermost regions of our heart, driving away all the lust, anger, greed, madness, illusion, and envy, which God is here to begin with. Envy of the Supreme Person. Yeah, well, better we don't chant any verses. Better we don't chant it responsibly because it'll take too long. I can just read it. Yeah, but there's the purport also. It's huge. Those 2 verses are there, but I'm just going to read them and go all the way through because we have it's a huge introduction. Om ajñāna-timirāndhasya jñānāñjana-śalākayā cakṣur unmīlitaṁ yena tasmai śrī-gurave namaḥ śrī-caitanya-mano bhīṣṭaṁ sthāpitaṁ yena bhū-tale svayaṁ rūpa mahyaṁ dadati sva-padāntikam. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with a torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisance unto him. When was Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī Prabhupāda was established in this material world with a mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Caitanya, give me shelter at his lotus feet. Vandeham śrī-gurū śrī-yuta-pada kamalam śrī-gurūn Vaishnavamscha śrī-rūpaṁ sagrajatam saha-gaṇa tam sa-jīvam sadaitam savadupam parijanahe sayitam kṛṣṇa-caitanya-devaṁ śrī-rādhā-kṛṣṇa-pādān saha-gaṇa lalitā-śrī-viśākhānvitāṁś. I offer my respectful obeisance on the lotus feet of my spiritual master and to the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisance on the lotus feet of Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī, along with his elder brothers Sanātana Gosvāmī, Bhagavad Das Gosvāmī, Bhagavad Bhatta, Gopal Bhatta, and Śrīla Jiva Gosvāmī. I offer my respectful obeisance to Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Ācārya, Kadā, Srivāsa, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisance to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates, Śrī Lalitā and Viśākhā. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Oh my dear Krishna, ocean of mercy, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the cowherdmen and the lover of the gopis, especially Srimati Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta kanchana gaurangi radhe vrindavaneshvari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Praname Hari Priye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold and who is the queen of Vrindavan. You are the daughter of King Vishabhanu and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vanchakapalarubhyascha kripasindubhya evacha patiranang pavanebhya vaishnavibhyo namo namaḥ. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone. Does that mean whatever you want? I'd like to get a new car, you know. Maybe a Rolls would be okay. Maybe a nice Rolls. Vaishnava to fill all desires, right? My dear Vaishnava, please give me a Rolls Royce. And how about a nice mansion by the sea? No. The point is this. These are not the real desires of everyone, but actually everybody in the whole existence, everyone all the way down from King Indra to the Indragopa germ, everyone actually desires pure bhakti. It's the only real desire of any living being. So they're just pseudo-desires. The real desire of every single living entity is the awakening of pure bhakti. So that is the fulfillment of the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and they're full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls because their intent is to deliver all the suffering souls in this material world back to home, back to Godhead. Shri Krishna-Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Ācārya Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. I offer my respectful obeisance to Shri Krishna-Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Ācārya Shri Vasari and all others in the line of devotion. And here's an interesting mantra. Here's a go like this: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bhagavad Gita is also known as Gita Upanishad. It is the essence of Vedic knowledge and one of the most important Upanishads in Vedic literature. Of course, there are many commentaries in English on the Bhagavad Gita, and one may question the necessity for another one. The present edition can be explained in the following way. Recently, an American lady asked me to recommend an English translation of Bhagavad Gita. Of course, in America, there are many editions of Bhagavad Gita available in English. But as far as I've seen, not only in America, but also in India, none of them can be strictly said to be authoritative because in almost every one of them, commentators express his own opinions without touching the spirit of Bhagavad Gita as it is. I think I had an issue with Bhagavad Gita. I remember I had a little issue with Bhagavad Gita. It didn't make me a devotee, but this Bhagavad Gita, you see, this is the Bhagavad Gita that makes you a devotee. You see. It's a very special Bhagavad Gita, this Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita as it is. What are the other ones? Bhagavad Gita as it is not, right? Okay. The spirit of the Bhagavad Gita is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita itself. It is just like this. If we want to take a particular medicine, then we have to follow the directions written on the label. We cannot take the medicine according to our own whim or the direction of a friend. It must be taken according to the directions on the label or the directions given by a physician. The doctor gives you a prescription, you don't mess with it. Well, I think I can adjust and take instead of taking 2 antibiotics, they'll take 3. You don't mess with the prescription. You see, whatever the doctor said, that's what you do. Otherwise, you get sick. I have personal experience taking too many antibiotics and feeling really sick the whole day. So you got to follow the instructions of the physician and take it accordingly. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita should be taken or accepted as it is directed by the speaker himself. The speaker of Bhagavad Gita is Lord Sri Krishna. He is mentioned on every page of Bhagavad Gita as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. Of course, the word Bhagavan refers sometimes to any powerful person, any powerful demigod, and certainly here Bhagavan designates Lord Sri Krishna as a great personality, but at the same time we should know that Lord Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as is confirmed by all great Vaishnava, all great Acharyas, spiritual masters like Sankarshan, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Lord Gosvāmī, Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and many other authorities of Vedic knowledge in India. The Lord himself also establishes himself as the Supreme Personality in Bhagavad Gita, and he is accepted as such in the Brahma Samhita and all the Puranas, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Bhagavad Purana, Krishnastu Bhagavan Svayaṁ, Bhagavatam 1.3.28. Therefore, we should take Bhagavad Gita as it is, directed by the personality of God himself in the 4th chapter of Gita 4:1-3. The Lord says, Evam vishvatate gogam proktavannahavamyagam vivashvan praname prava manu rikshvakave brivib evam parampara praptam evam rajashayo vidu sakaleneha mahata yoganashtapadantapa sa evayam maya teja yoga proktaparatana bhaktosi me saka cheti rahasyam hidavuttamam. Here the Lord informs Arjuna that this system of yoga, the Bhagavad Gita, was first spoken to the sun god. And the sun god explained it to Manu, and Manu explained it to Ikshvaku, and in that way, by the cyclic succession, one speaker after another, this yoga system has been coming down, but in the course of time it has become lost. Consequently, the Lord has to speak it again, this time to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He tells Arjuna that he is relating this supreme secret to him because Arjuna is his devotee and his friend. The purport of this is that Bhagavad Gita is a treatise which is especially meant for the devotee of the Lord. There are 3 classes of transcendentalists, named the jnani, the yogi, and the bhakta, or the impressionist, the meditator, and the devotee. Here the Lord clearly tells Arjuna that he is making him the first receiver of a new parampara, disciplic succession, because the old succession was broken. It is the Lord's wish, therefore, to establish another parampara in the same line of thought was coming down from the sun god to others, and it was his wish that his teaching be distributed anew by Arjuna. He wanted Arjuna to become the authority in understanding of Bhagavad Gita, so we see that Bhagavad Gita is instructive of Arjuna, especially because Arjuna was a devotee of the Lord, a direct student of Krishna, and his intimate friend. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita is best understood by a person who has qualities similar to Arjuna's. That's why we hear from Prabhupada, you see. He has qualities similar to Arjuna. Because Arjuna was a devotee of the Lord, a direct student of Krishna, and his intimate friend, therefore, Bhagavad Gita is best understood by a person with qualities similar to Arjuna. That is to say, he must be a devotee in direct relationship with the Lord. That is a very elaborate subject matter, but briefly can be stated, devotees in a relationship, Supreme Personality of God in one of the 5 different ways. 1, maybe a devotee in a passive state. 2, a devotee in an active state. Devotee in a friend. Devotee as a parent. Devotee as a conjugal lover. Arjuna was in a relationship with the Lord as a friend. Of course, there's a gulf of difference between this friendship and the friendship found in the material world. This is a transcendental friendship which cannot be had by everyone. Of course, everyone has a particular relationship with the Lord, and this relationship is evoked by perfection of devotional service. Now, one thing is, don't try to jump. Well, I think I'd like to be a gopi, so, I'm going to meditate on the gopis, y'all, and think about kissing Krishna, hugging Krishna. No, don't try to jump artificially. You have to be a sold-out servant of Guru and Krishna. You actually have that. It's called Sarupa. You already have your relationship there. Don't be like a monkey jumping from the branches. We have enough jumping monkeys in Vrindavan already, you see. Don't try to jump. Well, I'd like to be this. No. You already have a rasa. Just be a totally sold-out servant of Krishna, and then in due course of time you come to the asakti stage in which your Sarupa will be revealed to you. But don't try to jump. Right now we're battling it out in Anartana Vritti, so become perfect in Anartana Vritti, and then you can go to Nishta, and then you can go to Ruchi, and then you can come to Asakti, leading into Bhava and Prema. But in the present, of course, but in the present status of life, not only have we forgotten the Supreme Lord, we've forgotten our eternal relationship with the Lord. Every living being out of the many, many billions and trillions of living entities, a particular relationship with the Lord eternally, that is called Svarupa. By the process of devotional service, one can revive that Svarupa, and that stage is called Svarupa Siddhi, perfection of one's constitutional position. So Arjuna was a devotee, he was in touch with the Lord, Supreme Lord in friendship. How Arjuna accepted this Bhagavad Gita should be noted. His manner of acceptance is given in the 10th chapter, 10, 12-14. Arjuna uvacha padang brahma padang dhamma pravittam paramang bhavam purusham sashvatam devyam adidevam majang vibhum ahastvam vishayas sarve devishir navradastata asita devalo vyasa svayaṁ chaiva harvishime Sarvametan ritam manye yanmang badasi keshava nahite bhagavan vyaktim vedar devanadanavam. Arjuna said, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages known as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. Oh, Krishna, I totally accept as truth All that you have told me, neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. After hearing Bhagavad Gita from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna accepted Krishna as Padam Brahma, the Supreme Brahman. Every living entity is Brahman, but the Supreme Living Entity, the Supreme Personality of God, is the Supreme Brahman. Padam Dhamma means that he is the supreme rest or abode of everything. Pavitram means that he is pure, untainted by material contamination. Purusham means he is the supreme enjoyer. Shashvatam original. Devam transcendental. Adidevan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ajam, the unborn. And Vibhum, the greatest. Now, one might think that because Krishna was the friend of Arjuna, Arjuna was telling him all this by way of flattery. But Arjuna, just to drive out this kind of doubt from the minds of the readers of Bhagavad Gita, substantiate these praises in the next verse when he says that Krishna is accepted as the Supreme Personality of God not only by himself, but by authorities like Narada, Asita, Deva, and Vyasadeva. These greater personalities that distribute the Vedic knowledge is accepted by all acharyas. Therefore, Arjuna tells Krishna that he accepts whatever he says to be completely perfect. Sarvam mitam ritam manye. I accept everything you say to be true. Arjuna also said that the personality of God is very difficult to understand, that he cannot be known even by the great demigods. This means the Lord cannot even be known by personalities greater than human beings. So how can a human being understand Lord Sri Krishna without becoming his devotee? Therefore, Bhagavad Gita should be taken up in a spirit of devotion. One should not think he is equal to Krishna or think as Krishna is an ordinary personality, even a very great personality. Lord Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So according to the statements of Bhagavad Gita or statements of Arjuna, the person who is trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita, we should at least theoretically accept Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. With that submissive spirit, we can understand the Bhagavad Gita. What does that mean theoretically? Never thought about that? Why theoretically accept him? Well, so the science have a theory, We think it's like this theory, that theory. Why accept it theoretically? Well, the point is, if you're not really sure, if Krishna were the Supreme Personality, what would I do? See, that's theoretically. So when you do that, when you make the experiment, guess what happens? It actually goes beyond theoretical and becomes practical, yes. Goes from theory to fact. By trying it, you test the theory. It's the theory that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. Okay, let's test the theory. It's like when I was a kid in high school. The teacher said, students, H2O equals water. Well, that was theoretical for me as a little kid in high school. Students, H2O equals water. But we went down the hall of the laboratory, and guess what? In the test tube, we did it. 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen, and lo, what and behold, there was water in my test tube. So it was no longer theory, it was fact. So test the theory by doing the experiment. Make the experiment of following the teachings of the Gita, and lo and behold, it's no longer a theory, it's a fact, because you experienced it yourself. Understand? So at least accept it theoretically. And then apply the instructions, and lo and behold, it's a fact. Unless one reads the Bhagavad Gita in a submissive spirit, it's very difficult to understand the Bhagavad Gita because it is a very great mystery. So just what is the Bhagavad Gita? The purpose of the Bhagavad Gita is to deliver mankind from the nescience of material existence. Every man is in difficulty in so many ways, as Arjuna was also in difficulty having to fight the battle of Kurukshetra. Arjuna surrendered to Krishna, and consequently this Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Not only Arjuna, but every one of us is full of anxieties. Anybody here full of anxieties? Anybody? If you're full of anxieties, raise your hand. We are full of anxieties. Welcome to the material world. So that's our position. Every one of us is full of anxiety because of this material existence. Our very existence is in this atmosphere of non-existence. Wow. This is called non-existence. Did you ever think about that? This is the atmosphere of non-existence. Prabhupada really put it straight, didn't he? We're right now, even though we're existing, our nature to exist, now we're in the atmosphere of non-existence. That's why you're in anxiety. You ever realize that? You're in anxiety because you're in the anxiety of non-existence, even though you're existent. Doesn't fit. Actually, we are not meant to be threatened by non-existence. Our existence is eternal, but somehow or other we have put it into asat. Asat means to that which does not exist. This is called asat loka, you see. We're actually the essence of sat loka, but here we are in asat loka. That's the difficulty. Out of so many human beings who are suffering, there are a few who are actually inquiring about their position. How many people are in this class today? You see? That's very few, you see. So, as to what they are, why they're put in this awkward position, and so on, unless one is awakened to this position of questioning his suffering, unless he realizes that he doesn't want his suffering, but rather wants to make a solution to all suffering, then one is not be considered a perfect human being. Wow, that's really something, you see. Even if you're inquiring about it, you're entering into perfection. Why am I suffering? How can I get out of suffering? Now you're becoming a perfect human being just by that inquiry. Humanity begins with this sort of inquiry, is awake with one mind, and the Brahma Samhita, this inquiry is called Brahma Jigyasa. Atā pro Brahma Jigyasa. Every activity of a human being is to be considered a failure unless he inquires about the nature of the Absolute. Therefore, those who begin to question why they're suffering and where they have come from and where they shall go after death are proper students for understanding Bhagavad Gita. The sincere student should always have a firm respect for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a student was Arjuna. Lord Sri Krishna descends specifically to reestablish the real purpose of life when man forgets that purpose. Even then, out of many, many human beings who awaken, there may be one who actually enters the spirit of understanding his position. For him, this Bhagavad Gita is spoken. So many will inquire, but most won't understand the answer. Out of those who inquire, what is Krishna? Manushanam sahasreveshu, you see. Yatatam. Very few actually come to the realized position. So many people inquire, but only a few, very, 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 very few come to the proper understanding. Actually, we are all swallowed. Wow, here's a powerful statement. Did you realize you were swallowed by a tigress? Probably really laid it on the line. We are swallowed by a tigress right now. Would you like to be swallowed by a tigress? Well, we are swallowed by a tigress right now. Woo, that's heavy. Actually, we are all swallowed by the tigress of nescience, but the Lord is very merciful upon the living entities, especially human beings. To this end, he spoke the Bhagavad Gita, making his friend Arjuna his student. Being an associate of Lord Krishna, Arjuna was above all ignorance, but Arjuna was put into ignorance on the battlefield. Arjuna was not a conditioned soul. He was liberated, but he played the part of a conditioned soul so that Krishna could speak for us. So Bhagavad Gita was not really spoken for Arjuna, it was spoken for us. That's the point. Just to question Lord Krishna about the problems of life so the Lord could explain them for the benefit of future generations of human beings and chalk out the plan of life. Then man could act accordingly and perfect the mission of human life. The subject of Bhagavad Gita entails the comprehension of 5 basic truths. Okay. First of all, the sufficiency of God is explained in the constitutional position of the living entity and jivas. They're in the Ishvara, which is controller. They're the jiva, the living entities, which is controlled. If a living entity says he is not controlled, but he is free, then he is insane. Wow. Well, that's really a powerful statement. Prabhupada is saying our world leaders are insane. Our prime ministers, our presidents, our senators, our congressmen, they're all insane. Can you imagine in a world situation where the leaders are insane? Guess what? In 2024, our leaders are all insane idiots. What kind of world can you have when the leaders are insane? Prabhupada's laying it and hitting the nail right on the head. You see. The living being is controlled in every respect, at least in his conditioned life. So in the Bhagavad Gita, the subject matter deals with the Ishvara, the supreme controller, the jivas, the controlled living entities, Katriti, material nature, and time, the duration of existence of the whole material universe, are the manifestation of material nature, and karma, activity, as are also discussed. The cosmic manifestation is full of different activities. All living entities are engaged in different activities. The Bhagavad Gita must learn what God is, the living entities are, what a Kriti is, what the cosmic manifestation is, how is it controlled by time, and what the activities of the living entities are. Out of these 5 basic subject matters in Bhagavad Gita, it is established that the Supreme Personality the Supreme Godhead or Krishna is Brahman, the Supreme Controller or Paramatma. You may use whatever name you like, is the greatest of all. The living beings are in quality like the Supreme Controller. For instance, Lord Krishna has control over the universal affairs of material nature. As explained in later chapters of Bhagavad Gita, material nature is not independent. She is acting in the direction of the Supreme Lord, as Lord Krishna says, Maya dakshena prakriti suyate characharam. This material nature is working under my direction. When we see wonderful things happening in the cosmic nature, we should know that behind this cosmic manifestation there is a controller. Nothing can be manifested without being controlled. Just like you see a beautiful sunrise, it's like a beautiful work of art, you see. No, but a beautiful work of art just kind of manifests on its own? No. A beautiful work of art, there's some artist behind it. So we see the beauty We see so many beautiful things, a lotus flower, a peacock, so many, or a beautiful woman, or whatever it may be. When you say something beautiful, you understand there's a supreme designer, supreme artist behind it. Nothing can be manifested without being controlled. It is childish not to consider the controller. For instance, a child might think that an automobile is quite wonderful to be able to run without a horse or animal pulling it, but a sane man knows the nature of the automobile's engineering department arrangement. He knows that behind the machinery there's a man, a driver. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is the driver, under whose direction everything is working. Now the jivas, the living entities, have been accepted by the Lord, as we will note in later chapters, as his parts and parcels. A particle of gold is also gold, a drop of water from the ocean is also salty, and similarly, we the living entities, being part and also the Supreme Controller, Ishvara, or Bhagavan, Lord Sri Krishna, have all the qualities of the Supreme Lord in minute quantity, because we are minute. Ishvaras, subordinate Ishvaras. We are trying to control nature. As presently, we are trying to control space or planets. And this tendency to control is there because it is in Krishna. So Krishna is the Param Ishvara. We are the tiny, itsy-bitsy, teeny-meeny Ishvaras. But although we have a tendency to lord over material nature, we should know that we are not the supreme controller. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita. What is material nature? This is also explained in Gita as inferior prakriti, inferior nature. The living entities explain as superior prakriti. Prakriti is always under the control, whereas inferior is superior. Whether inferior is superior. Prakriti is female and she is controlled by the Lord. Just as the activities of wife are controlled by the husband. Prakriti is always subordinate, predominated by the Lord, who is the predominant nature. The living entities and material nature are both predominated, controlled by the Supreme Lord. According to the Gita, the living entities, although parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, are to be considered Prakriti. This is clearly explained in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, aparayamyatastvanyam prakritnavidime padam jiva bhūttam. This material nature of my inferior Prakriti. Beyond there says another, Prakriti jiva bhūttam, the living entity. Material nature itself is constituted by 3 qualities: the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, the mode of ignorance. Above these modes there is eternal time, and by a combination of these modes of nature under control and purview of eternal time, there are activities which are called karma. These activities are being carried out from time immemorial, and we are suffering and enjoying the fruits of our activities. For instance, suppose I'm a businessman, I've worked very hard on intelligence and amassed a great bank balance. Then I'm the enjoyer, but then I say I've lost all my money in business, then I'm a sufferer. Similarly, in every field of life, we enjoy the results of our work, or we suffer the results. That is called karma. Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, Jiva, the living entity, Prakriti, nature, Kadā, eternal time, and karma activities are all explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Out of these 5, the Lord, the living entities, material nature, and time are eternal. The manifestation of Prakriti may be temporary, but is not false. Some philosophers say that the manifestation of material nature is false, but according to the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, that's the Mayavadis. According to the philosophy of the Vaishnavas, that is not so. The manifestation of the world is not accepted as false, except that it's real, but temporary. It is like unto the clouds which move across the sky, or the coming of the rainy season, which nourishes grains. As soon as the rainy season is over, and as soon as the cloud goes away, all the crops which are nourished by the sun, by the rain, dry up. Similarly, this material manifestation takes place at a certain interval, stays for a while, and disappears. Such are the workings of Prakriti, but this cycle is working eternally. Therefore, Prakriti is eternal, but it is not false. The Lord refers to this as my Prakriti. This material nature is the separated energy of the Supreme Lord, and similarly the living entities are also the energy of the Supreme Lord, although they are not separated but eternally related. So the Lord, the living entity, material nature, and time are all interrelated and are eternal. However, the other item, karma, is not eternal. The acts of karma may be very old indeed. We are suffering and enjoying the results of our activities from time immemorial, but we can change the results of our karma activity, and this change depends on the perfection of our knowledge. We are engaged in various activities, and undoubtedly we do not know what the alternative activities we should adopt to gain relief from the actions and reactions of these activities. This is also explained in Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is telling us how to get free from this karma. Right now we're prisoners of karma. We're being tossed this way and tossed that way because of our past pious and impious activities. We're suffering sometimes, enjoying sometimes, up and down on the waves of karma. But Bhagavad Gita is teaching us how to get liberated from this karma. So it's very, very important for us, if we want to actually become happy, to take this Bhagavad Gita very seriously as our very life and soul. You understand these points. Take it very seriously as our life and soul. The position of Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, is that of supreme consciousness. The jivas, the living entities, being parts also of the Supreme Lord, are also conscious. Both the living entity and material nature explain as Prakriti, the energy of the Supreme Lord, but one of the two, the jiva, is conscious. The other Prakriti is not conscious. That is the difference. But therefore, the jiva Prakriti is called superior because the jiva has consciousness which is similar to the Lord's. The Lord is supreme consciousness, however, and one should not claim the jiva, the living entity, is also supremely conscious. We are conscious. Attending those superior, and Krishna is conscious of everything. I know the pains and pleasures of my body, you know the pains and pleasures of your body, but Krishna knows the pains and pleasures of everybody's body, you see. I don't know what you feel when you're sick, but Krishna knows everything that's going on. We don't. The living entity cannot be supremely conscious in any stage of perfection. The theory that he is so is a misleading theory. Conscious he may be, but he is not perfectly or supremely conscious. The distinction between the jiva and the Ishvara will be explained in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The Lord is Kshetraga, conscious, as is the living entity, but the living being is conscious of a particular body, whereas the Lord is conscious of all bodies. Because he lives in the heart of every living being, he is conscious of the psychic movements of the particular jivas. Even your psychic movements are known. What's going on in your brain, what you're thinking about, what you're accepting, what you're rejecting, what you like, what you hate. It's all being, Krishna knows everything that's going on. You can't escape the vision of Krishna. He knows everything that's going on. Yamaraj also knows. Krishna, he's keeping a record of all sinful activities, so look out. You don't be in Yamaraj's book, you want to be in Krishna's book. You see. The time of death, if you're in Yamaraj's book, he's come send his representatives, the Yamadus, and yank you out of your body and take you to be punished. You don't want to be in Yamaraj's book, you want to be in Krishna's book by engaging full-time in Bhakti Yoga. Okay. We should not forget this. It is also explained in the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality God is living in everyone's heart as Isha, the controller, and he's giving directions for all living entities to act as he desires. In other words, that's amazing. Krishna will help you even if you want to be a rascal. He gives directions either way. You see. Krishna plays a neutral role as a Paramatma. I am the source of knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. If you want to forget God, just now I'm having a debate with a Buddhist, about having some debates on the internet with a Buddhist. He says self-identity is a delusion. And he writes big, huge paragraphs to prove that it's a delusion. He's proving by his answers that he's not, that he's real. You see. So we should not be misled by all these bogus theories. You see. The living entity forgets what to do. First of all, he makes the determination to act in a certain way, and then he is entangled in the actions and reactions of his own karma. After giving up one type of body, he enters another type of body as we take off and put on our clothes. As the soul transmigrates, he suffers the actions and reactions of his past activities. These activities can be changed. The living entity is in the mode of goodness, in sanity, not in insanity, but in sanity, and understands that what sort of activities he should adopt. If one does so, then the actions and reactions of his past activities can be changed. Consequently, karma is not eternal. Therefore, we stated that the first of the 5 items, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, time, and karma, 4 are eternal, whereas karma is not eternal. The supreme conscious Ishvara is similar to the living entity. In this way, both the consciousness of the Lord and that of the living entity are transcendental. It is not that consciousness is generated by the association of matter. That is a mistaken idea. That's what the scientists think. That's why they justify abortion. Well, it hasn't become conscious yet, so it's just tissue. Cut it out. That's why the big mistake these rascal scientists make. Because we don't see any consciousness, therefore cut it. Kill it, cut it out and throw it in the trash can. You see, just see the horrible sins they're doing. It is not that consciousness generation of the association of matter. There's a mistaken idea. The theory that consciousness development in a certain circumstance of material combination is not accepted in Bhagavad Gita. Consciousness may be pervertedly reflected by the covering material circumstances. As the light reflected in color, grass may appear to be a certain color, but the consciousness of the Lord is not materially affected. Lord Krishna says, Maya Dakshina Prakriti, Bhagavad Gita 9:10. When he descends into the material universe, his consciousness is not materially affected. If he were so affected, he would not be unfit to speak on transcendental matters as he does in the Bhagavad Gita. One cannot say anything about the transcendental world without being free from materially contaminated consciousness. So the Lord is not materially contaminated. Our consciousness of the present moment, however, is, Prabhupada italicized, is materially contaminated. Emphasize is. So understand, we are materially contaminated right now. Our consciousness is materially contaminated. The Bhagavad Gita teaches us that we have to purify this materially contaminated consciousness. In pure consciousness, our actions will be devoted to the will of Ishvara, and that will make us happy. It is not that we have to cease all activities, rather our activities have to be purified, and pure activities are called bhakti. Activities in bhakti appear like ordinary activities, but they are not contaminated. An ignorant person may see the devotee is acting and working like an ordinary man, but such a person with a poor fundamental knowledge does not know the activities of the devotee of the Lord are not contaminated by impure consciousness or matter. They are transcendental to these three modes of nature. We should know, however, that at this point our consciousness is contaminated. So now we're all sick here in Prabhupada's hospital. You see, we've come with, my dear Śrīla Prabhupada, my consciousness is contaminated. Understand? Your consciousness is contaminated. That's why we're here, taking shelter of Prabhupada and those who purely represent Prabhupada. They're helping us to become free from this contaminated consciousness. When we are materially contaminated, we are called conditioned. False consciousness is exhibited under the impression that I am the product of material nature. That is called false ego. One who is absorbed in the thought of bodily conceptions cannot understand his situation. Bhagavad Gita has spoken to liberate men from the bodily concept of life, and Arjuna put himself in the position in order to receive this information from the Lord. One must become free from the bodily conception of life. That is the preliminary activity for the transcendentalist. Wants to become free, who wants to become liberated, must first of all learn he is not this material body. We emphasize that so much, don't we? I am not this body. It's very, very important to understand I am not this body. Otherwise, you think I am this body. It's like one of my students said, Gurudev, is it true that all women are less intelligent? And I said, if you think you're a woman, you're less intelligent. In other words, if I think I'm this body, then I am less intelligent. You know? If a man or a woman is kṛṣṇa-caitanya, the most intelligent. If a woman is kṛṣṇa-caitanya, she's the most intelligent person. A man is kṛṣṇa-caitanya, is the most intelligent person. So don't identify with your body. That's the whole point. So mukti, liberation, means freedom from material consciousness. In the Śrīmad Bhagavatam, also the definition of liberation is given. Muktir hinva yata rūpaṁ sva-rūpena svayastitahi. Bhagavatam 2.10.6. Mukti means liberation from the contaminated consciousness in the material world and situation in pure consciousness. All the instructions of Bhagavad Gita are intended to make awaken this pure consciousness, and therefore we find at the last stage of Gita's instruction, the Lord is asking Arjuna whether he is now purified in consciousness. Purified consciousness means acting in accordance with the instructions of the Lord. So that's very simple. Right now we have a contaminated consciousness, but if we agree to act in accordance with the instructions of the Lord, now we don't have a contaminated consciousness anymore. Now we are in purified consciousness. It seems like a matter of agreeing. Okay, Krishna, whatever you say, I'm going to do it. Then you're in purified consciousness. You've kicked out your contaminated consciousness. Now you're in pure consciousness. It's pretty good, isn't it? Not that difficult, really, as they say, simple to crooked. If you simply take it as it is, now I will act. And as Arjuna agreed to act, yes, I'm going to fight now. Even though I didn't want to, because you tell me to fight, I will fight. Even though I didn't want to chant Hare Krishna, okay, I'll do it because you're telling me to do it. I need to do this. So as soon as we accept the instruction and we do it, now we're in purified consciousness. This is the whole sum and substance of purified consciousness. Consciousness is already there, and because we are part and parcel of the Lord, but for us there is the affinity being affected by the inferior mode. But the Lord being the Supreme is never affected. That is the difference between the Supreme Lord and the small individual souls. What is this consciousness? This consciousness is, I am. Then what am I? In contaminated consciousness, I means I am the Lord of all I survey, I am the enjoyer, the world revolves around every living entity that thinks that he is the Lord and creator of the material world. Material consciousness has two psychic divisions. One is I am the creator, and the other I am the enjoyer. But actually the Supreme Lord is both the creator and enjoyer. The living entity being parcel of the Supreme Lord is neither the creator nor the enjoyer, but a cooperator. He is the created and the enjoyed. He is the created and the enjoyer, the living entity. For instance, a part of the machine cooperates with the whole machine. Part of the body cooperates with the whole body. The hands, legs, and so on are all parts of the body, but they're not actually the enjoyers. The stomach is the enjoyer. The legs move. The hands supply food. The teeth chew. And all the parts of the body are engaged in satisfying the stomach because the stomach is the principal factor that nourishes the body's organization. Therefore, everything is given to the stomach. One nourishes the tree by watering its root, and one nourishes the body by feeding the stomach. For if the body is to be kept in a healthy state, then the parts of the body must cooperate to feed the stomach. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is the enjoyer and the creator, and we as subordinate living entities are meant to cooperate but satisfy Him. This cooperation will actually help us, just as food taken by the stomach will help all the other parts of the body. If the fingers of the hand think they should take the food themselves instead of giving it to the stomach, they'll be frustrated. I don't want to give it to the stomach. That stomach just sits there, doesn't do any work, takes all the service. No, I'm going to enjoy this gulab jamun in my hand, I don't get any nourishment by doing that, you see. To get nourishment, you have to feed the stomach. So to get nourished, we actually serve Krishna. Otherwise, we try to enjoy separately, we will be, Prabhupada said, we'll be frustrated. Do you want to be frustrated? That's what we're going to be if we don't serve Krishna. You see. Okay, let's see where we are. Yeah, the central figure of creation and enjoyment is the Supreme Lord. The living entities are cooperators. By cooperation they enjoy. The relation is like that of the master and the servant. If the master is fully satisfied and the servant is satisfied, similarly the Supreme Lord should be satisfied. Although tendency to become the creator and the tendency to enjoy the material are there, also living entities, because their tendencies are in the Supreme Lord who created this material, manifested cosmic world. What happens is, my dear devotees, if you try to enjoy separately, what happens? Become frustrated, because that's not your position. It's not our position to enjoy separately. We try to do it again and again and again, but every time we get what? Frustrated, isn't it? We get frustrated because we try to be the enjoyers. That's not our position. We are enjoyed, we are not enjoyers. She'll find there from the Bhagavad Gita, the complete whole is comprised of the same controller, control living entities, the cosmic manifestation, eternal and karma activities, and all these are explained in this text. All of these taken to completely form the complete whole, and the complete whole is called the Supreme Absolute Truth. The complete whole and the complete Absolute Truth are the Supreme, complete personality of God as Sri Krishna. All manifestations due to His different energies. He is, italicized, no, is the complete whole. It is also explained in the Bhagavad Gita that the impersonal Brahman is also subordinate to the complete person, Brahmano Pratishtaham. Brahman is more. 5 minutes, I don't know how much we're going to finish the chapter. I can't even finish it in 5 minutes. Brahmano Pratishtaham. Brahman is more explained in the Brahma Saputra to be like the rays of the sunshine. The impersonal Brahman is the shining rays of the Supreme Personality of God. The impersonal Brahman is incomplete realization of the Absolute Truth, and so also is the conception of Paramatma. In the 15th chapter, so we don't want to be Brahman realized or Paramatma realized, we want to be Bhagavan realized. You see, that's what we're shooting for. Bhagavan. Why take the part? Go for the whole. Impersonal Brahman is incomplete realization of the Absolute Truth, and so is also the conception of Paramatma. In the 15th chapter, it should be seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purushottama is above both the impersonal Brahman and the partial realization of Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Satchidananda Vigraha. The Brahma Samhita begins this way: Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Nade Radhe Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Govinda. Krishna is the cause of all causes. He's the primal cause. He's the very form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. And personal Brahman realization of the Sat feature. Brahman realization of the Sat Chit. And the realization of Krishna, God is the supreme, is the realization of all transcendental features. Satchidananda Vigraha. So take all three, don't just go for Sat or Sat-Chit, but go for Satchidananda. It's interesting, Satchidananda. There's no bliss until you come to all three. Eternity and knowledge are okay, but what good are they without Ananda, right? Would you like eternity and knowledge but no bliss? You got to have, if you want bliss, you got to go to all three. Satchidananda Vigraha. Then you can use the bliss. So go beyond the personal or Brahma, come to Bhagavan realization, and then you get the bliss. You want to be blissed out? Come to Bhagavan realization. People with less intelligence consider the Supreme Truth to be impersonal, but He is a transcendental person. This is confirmed in all Vedic literature. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanya Chaitananam Kathopanishad 2.2.13. As we are all individual beings, living beings, and have our individuality, the Supreme Absolute Truth is also in the ultimate issue of person, and realization of the personality of God as realization of all the transcendental features of His complete form. The complete whole is not formless. If He is formless, or if He is any less than the other living thing, He cannot be complete. If I have a form, how could the Supreme not have a form? Isn't that a ridiculous thing? They say the Supreme, I have a form, but the Supreme is formless. They're saying I'm better than God because He's formless, but I have a form. Just see how ridiculous they are. Complete whole must have everything within our experience and beyond our experience, otherwise it cannot be complete. The complete whole personality regarded as immense potencies, Padasya Shakti Vibhadaya Shriyate, C.C. Majas 1365 purport. How Krishna is acting in different potencies is also explained in Bhagavad Gita. This phenomenal world of material nature in which we are placed is also complete in itself, because the 24 elements of this material verse is a temporary manifestation according to Sankhya philosophy, are completely adjusted to produce complete resources which are necessary for the maintenance and subsistence of this universe. There is nothing extraneous, nor is anything needed. This manifestation has its own time fixed by the energy of the Supreme Whole, and when its time is complete, these temporary manifestations will be annihilated by the complete arrangement of the complete. There is complete facility for the small, complete units, namely the living entities, to realize the complete, and all sorts of incompleteness are experienced due to incomplete knowledge of the complete. This is really poetic, the way Prabhupada explains it, the complete and the incomplete. So Bhagavad Gita contains the complete knowledge of the Vedic wisdom. Very nice poetry, Prabhupada is. He's a great poet, actually. Prabhupada is a great poet. All Vedic knowledge is infallible, and Hindus accept the Vedic knowledge to be complete and infallible. For example, cow dung is the stool of an animal. According to Smriti or Vedic injunction, if one touches the stool of an animal, he should take a bath to purify himself. The Vedic scriptures, when cow dung considered to be a purifying agent. I have personal experience of that. But one might consider this to be contradictory, but it's accepted because there's Vedic injunction there. And indeed, by accepting this, one will not make a mistake. But subsequently, it has been proven in modern science that cow dung contains all antiseptic properties. So Vedic knowledge is complete because it abounds all doubts and mistakes. And Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. Vedic knowledge is not a question of research. When our research is imperfect, because we are researching things with imperfect senses, we have to accept perfect knowledge, which comes down to the state of Bhagavad Gita by parampara, disciplic succession. We have to receive knowledge from the proper source in disciplic succession, beginning with the supreme spiritual master, the Lord himself, and handed down to a succession of spiritual masters. Arjuna, the student, who took lessons from Sri Krishna, accepted everything that he says without contradicting him. One is not allowed to accept one portion of Bhagavad Gita and not another. Well, I like this part, but not this part. Don't be like that. Well, this part I like, this part I don't like. You got to take it in complete whole. When you, one is not allowed to accept one portion of Bhagavad Gita and not another. No. Prabhupada makes it really clear. No. Period. We must accept Bhagavad Gita without interpretation, without deletion, without our own whimsical participation in the matter. Bhagavad Gita should not be taken as the most perfect presentation of it. Rather, the Bhagavad Gita should be taken as the most perfect presentation of Vedic knowledge. Vedic knowledge is received from transcendental sources, and the first words are spoken by the Lord himself. The words spoken by the Lord are called aparashaya, meaning they are different. They're different. The words spoken by a person of the mundane world is infected with 4 defects. The mundane are 1, is sure to commit mistakes. 2, invariably delusion. 3, has a tendency to cheat others. And 4, is limited by imperfect senses. With these poor imperfections, one cannot deliver perfect knowledge of all-pervading knowledge. Vedic knowledge is not imparted by defective living entities. It was imparted in the heart of Brahma, the first created living being, and Brahma has in turn disseminated this knowledge to his sons and disciples as he originally received it from the Lord. Therefore, the Lord is Purnam, all perfect, and there's no possibility of becoming subject to the laws of material nature. One should therefore be intelligent enough to know the Lord is the only proprietor of everything in the universe, and he is the original creator, the creator of Brahma. In the 11th chapter, the Lord is described as Prapitamaha, Bhagavad Gita 11:39, because Brahma is addressed as Pitamaha, the grandfather, and he's the creator of the grandfather. So no one should claim to be proprietor of anything. One should only accept what is set aside. Set aside for him by the Lord as his quota for maintenance. How much further we have to go? Let's see. Oh yeah, and we have another hour's worth. We're already over time. So what should we do? I think we should have to call it quits, because I have to do some deity service for Śrī Rādhā-kṛṣṇa-pādān. They're waiting to be put in their night clothes and put to rest. So I'm sorry I didn't do I was imperfect. To see I'm imperfect. I was asked to do a lecture on the whole introduction to see how imperfect I am. I tried really hard to squeeze it in, but I wasn't able to do it because I'm imperfect. Now Krishna could have done it, but I can't do it. I couldn't do it. I wasn't able to do it. So please accept me for my offenses. I couldn't complete the chapter, the whole introduction, because I was asked to do the introduction. I'll have to apologize to the temple authorities that I couldn't do it. I'm just not powerful enough to do it. So thank you all for tuning in, turning on, and blissing out. be happy, chant Hare Krishna, and make the world happy by spreading this movement. Every town, village, hamlet, and individual, even the dogs and cats will benefit. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.